The EP Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at theeppodcast.com.
After an unexpected week off, the EP Podcast returns. Evergreen Park's podcast is here again. My name is Chris. Welcome in. A brand new healthcare center opened in Evergreen Park. We're going to talk to them about it. And our first guest from District 124 Schools does good work. You're going to want to hear about it. And this episode is brought to you, as always, by the First National Bank of Evergreen Park. Look for me and the First National Bank of Evergreen Park and the Record Shop on 95th all together on top of a double-decker fire truck this Friday at the Independence Day Parade. And I tested something out this past week. Remember, I told you every ATM is free with the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, but is every ATM free worldwide? I used an ATM in Germany that tacked on a fee and was converting to euros. First National Bank of Evergreen Park gave me the best rate and put all the fees back in, even though I wasn't even in the country. No overdraft charges, $300 bonus when you open up a checking account with qualified activities, great online banking tools, and I don't even need to be in the country to benefit. Get over to that iconic building at 95th and Pulaski, the First National Bank of Evergreen Park, member FDIC. Sitting down here at the 9-foot homemade oak bar, I have a guest from District 124. She is the Director of Student Services. Her name is Rebecca Tyrrell. How are you, Rebecca?
I'm great. Thank you very much for having me.
If I doze off in the middle of this, it's because I'm still dealing with the jet lag. I am fresh back from Germany. There was no show last week.
Okay.
And I never got to explain to everybody why there was no show. So before we dive in with you, I just want to tell somebody the story, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so I recorded in advance on different locations with like my camera and my mobile recorder, the EP podcast, knowing I was going to go out of town. And then I would get back and I was like, then I'll put together a show when I get back. But I also am starting a travel podcast. My buddies came up with this. They're like,
awesome.
You know what? You should travel more. You know, you're divorced now, you're single, get out there. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. And you should get a travel podcast so that you can be part of the company. And then the company pays for the podcast. I was like, brilliant.
Yeah.
So the new podcast will be called Chris Gets Around, which is hysterical. And I love that title. One of my buddies came up with that. And I was like going to Germany. I said, okay, I'm going to film the first thing. Like I'm going to film some stuff in Germany. So I bring the same cameras I use for these podcasts there and a audio recorder. And I'm going through customs. And they want to look at the audio recorder. So I take it out of the bag. So instead of putting it back inside the bag, I put it in a side pocket. And I get on the plane. At some point over the Atlantic, I believe my seatmate stole the recorder.
Oh.
The person that was sitting next to me, I think, saw something shiny, got excited, and just took it. Because as I woke up in Frankfurt and was getting ready to deboard the plane, as soon as the light went off that you could stand up, she grabbed her bags and ran through the plane, pushing people. And I thought it was the strangest thing in the world. Like, why would the person who'd been sitting next to me the whole time run through the plane? And then when I got to customs, I saw her and she just kept looking at me and moving further away. And I was like, did I stink? Was there something wrong with me?
Right.
Like, what? Did I say something weird on the plane? Like, why is she acting this way? And when I got to my buddy's place, I could see that the pocket of the bag had been pulled and somebody had taken the audio recorder. So an entire show was lost.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, so the whole show was lost. So that's why there was no show last week. It's not because I don't love all of you. It's just we just couldn't get a show done. And now Rebecca is going to sit here and we're going to talk a little bit about what she does. What exactly do you do for the district? It's not just for Central, it's district-wide.
Correct. So I'm the Director of Student Support Services. So most people assume Student Support Services is just special education, but it's actually so much more. We do all of the pre-K and early childhood. We do extended day, all the social emotional learning, PBIS, all the mental health stuff we've done the past couple of years, especially post-COVID. And then obviously special ed is a big chunk of it. Health services, so the nurses and making sure that all of our students are, vaccinated, have their eye exams, dental, all of those things. So
you're making sure everybody's good to go,
compliant,
essentially.
yes.
That's what you're doing.
Yes.
You mentioned the thing, mental health post-COVID. Are you still dealing with stuff since then? I mean, I had a kid that was at the time 8th grade, missed the last couple months of her 8th grade, had a rough transition into high school because of it. And then I had another one that I had like the whole spectrum of it. One of them was really little. I don't think it bothered him very much at all. But the older kids, socially, I always feel like are just a little bit behind. They've kind of snapped back.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say in the last year or so, I feel like they're back to where they should have been. But there was like this little lull. Are you still seeing stuff with that, or have we gotten through it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we're still seeing it. And I think that we're just seeing this like boom in mental health services and supports needed for our students, and not only our students, for our families as well. One of the things that I have noticed like post-COVID is parents and families really reaching out and asking for help and how to access services and supports. But yeah, I think the little ones, I think of myself and my own kids and changing how I parented a little bit during that time. So I think that has reflected in my older 2 boys versus my younger daughter, just even in regards to technology. So I think we see a little bit of that as well. So what that translates to like little ones is like communication, social, coping skills, problem solving, when you have a tablet and whatnot and that access so quickly, like play, sometimes kids don't really know how to play anymore. So just like teaching them how to play, things that we probably took for granted because we naturally did that, played outside and things like that.
Yeah,
so.
That was something that we did.
Right.
I say that all the time to my kids. That's something that we did. But we also didn't have at the school. I mean, I don't know where you went to school, but I went to St. Dennis Grammar School, not that far away from here in the Ashburn neighborhood. And nobody cared if I was sad that day or if like I was a little off or what was going on at home or anything else like that. And if you did something a little weird, the nuns just yelled at you and moved on. Like that's like, it's so different to me whenever I hear about these programs that are over at District 124 because they all make sense to me. But I'm sure there's a lot of people listening right now who are sitting there saying like, well, why do you need this? So why do you need this? What impact does it have? And and how do you see that impact?
Well, I mean, social, emotional, and mental health, it's definitely a barrier to learning. So, I think sometimes when, kids aren't attending in class, like the automatic assumption is like, oh, they have ADHD or something like that. That is not always the case. Like there are other things that can contribute to that. And I think that, one of the reasons why we're definitely evolving and having those conversations about, mental health supports and services, and what there is out there and just talking about it more. So I do think that kids feel more comfortable having those conversations, finding those trusted adults in the school, and accessing those supports. But, it'll impact you. It's a barrier to your learning, to your attending, to your acquiring that new information. So I think it's very important that we teach our families and we teach our staff and we teach our students about it and how to access the support they may need.
Is it tricky to not fall into a one size fits all kind of approach with the kids? Because like you could very easily see behavior in one kid, see in another kid, say, it's the same thing. When in reality, it could be something completely different. Plus you're dealing with 4 smaller schools and Central Middle School. That's a lot to handle. You're just one person.
Right.
So how do you do that? How do you pay attention to so many different kids going through so many different things?
Well, I have great staff. So at the district office, we have an assistant director, we have a case manager, we have a behavior specialist. Our secretary's great as well. She knows everything that's happening in the department. But then, in our buildings, we have that support staff as well. So our principals, our assistant principals, our social workers are really those SEL people in the building, but also our nurses. Like there's been a huge uptick in the training and the professional development offered to nurses that work in the school system, because you could per se have those frequent flyers in the office complaining of stomach aches and those somatic symptoms. So it's really just about having conversations, collaborating, and talking about what's going on. I think the teachers, whether it's gen ed or special ed, when they plan and they're talking about their students, what they're seeing, obviously, there is no one size fits all. Like what ADHD looks like in boys and girls is different. What depression looks like in boys and girls is different, let alone in a second grader versus a seventh grader. And then you throw puberty in the mix, and that really shakes it all up.
Yeah, because that messes them all up.
Exactly. Exactly.
I think I'm still messed up from that
right?
time. Yeah.
So I think that, I just think that we're in a time right now that we're having those conversations and recognizing that, this is a need and what it might look like, or, brainstorming with parents. We have parents all the time like, well, I didn't go through this, or when I was this age. And again, we're raising kids in a different time than we were raised. So everything's going to look different.
Do you think parents are more involved now or less, or about the same? Because I think back to when I was a kid and I go, okay, my mom was paying attention. I don't know if my dad was paying attention to anything. And I don't know if there would have been as much communication back and forth at the school about anything other than grades, right? So how important is it for you and the people that work with you to have parent interaction and have them involved?
That's huge. Any of the research says that parents that are involved, their students do well in school. I think we've seen more parent involvement, especially from when I started in education 20 years ago to now, just in recognizing and working together with schools on how they can access services and supports inside and out of school. One of my favorite things that I do is I'm part of our district community leadership team. So we have partnerships with, the library, SXU Birth to 3, Center for Self-Actualization. What I love about that is just collaborating with everyone and finding different services and supports. Bringing that back to district, bringing that back to the schools, so everybody knows what's out there. So if families are in need of specific things, they can access them.
We were talking before we turned on the microphones. We've been at that task force meeting together, and
right.
I don't know. I think it's so many people. I didn't even realize you were there. That's the funniest thing. I'm introducing myself. You're like, no, I was at the task force. I'm like, really? What did you think about what Dr. Woodland said when she was on this show, I want to say about a month ago? I found it very interesting. It seems to me as though leadership over at the school understands there is a shelf life for Central, and we're getting towards the end of it.
Yes.
And something has to be done, and I find it very interesting. We posted those shows, and I would say 90% of people are like, that seems like a good idea. And then you can see the 10%.
Yeah.
They're in the comments. They're upset about it. It's not like you guys just go ahead and they're going to just go do something. This is a long process.
Right.
You're just exploring it right now. But I feel like everybody in that room, tell me if I'm wrong, everybody in that room kind of understood after going through all the issues over at that school, understood something, you can't put a Band-Aid on it, right?
What I see is, a lot of our families, a lot of our students taking pride in their elementary buildings, and Central's just a step on the way to their next adventure at high school, where those are the most difficult years.
And you have a lot of social problems over at Central. And I think I talked about it on that show with her, the idea that the hallways almost become like a bottleneck that would create conflict.
Yes.
The way the building is set up is almost set up to exacerbate problems.
Right. It's not accessible to everyone. It's not accessible to our students in wheelchairs who, have broken legs, things like that. They can't get from point A to point B smoothly. And that's a problem. And I feel like it hinders the feeling of taking pride in your school, that social emotional well-being, wanting to be there, wanting to learn, wanting to take care of your facilities. That all factors into that. And obviously space. It's one thing to walk the halls when there's no one there. It's another thing to walk the halls when the kids are in there. It is frightening. I'm anxious as well. It is small. It is terrifying. So, and even lunch, the lunchroom is small. That
lunchroom looks
small.
like a prison room.
Right.
It really does. That was my first. I walked in. I was like, oh, it's a prison. That's what it feels like when you walk in there. Yeah.
It's not even that aesthetic. It's even the space, sitting next to someone and having the opportunity to have a back and forth conversation without feeling trapped and feeling anxious. It's a tight space, and it doesn't really allow for those conversations and that good social emotional learning.
Yeah, and that's something that we were talking about throughout this entire interview. It's very important. And Rebecca, the work that you're doing and the rest of the folks over at District 124, I think it's good stuff. Again, if somebody, let's say, has a kid in the school and somehow was not aware of what you do, or is like, you know what, I actually need some help for my kid, I'm noticing it, something like that, do they reach out to you directly? Do they just talk with the administrator at the school individually? How do they do that?
Well, they could talk to the administrator at the school. They might direct them to their social worker or the school psychologist for that building, or they will direct them to our office. I feel like any strange call that comes in that everybody's not really sure who it should be directed to is usually directed to our office. And 9 out of 10 times it's in the right place. So,
that's awesome. Very good. Rebecca Tyrrell, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Building relationships, supporting the community, and service. These are the things that Country Financial stands for. They're more than just an office you may pass by as you drive through Evergreen Park. They're neighbors who lend a helping hand and support the fabric of your community, including charitable organizations, sports, financial education, and civic organizations. And since Country is already your neighbor, they want to get together and chat. Call your local Country Financial representative, Mike Thauer, today at 708-425-1559 to talk about the things that are important to you and how he can help you protect them. It is now time for your EP podcast, Word on the Street, brought to you by Spoken Vine Wine Bar and Bottle Shop, northeast corner of 95th and Kedzie. Incredible small place. They're constantly changing the menu. Every time I go in there, there's something new to try. And that also goes for the wines, which are constantly rotating. But they keep the ones that everybody loves. Gather up your friends, your loved one. Go by yourself, meet new friends. See everything they have to offer at SpokenVineWines.com. The Evergreen Park Independence Day Parade is this Friday. It kicks off at 6:30 in the evening at 95th and Springfield. It will go down 95th all the way to Richmond, then north to 91st Street. Fireworks will follow at Duffy Park at dusk, approximately 9 p.m. Look for the EP podcast and the First National Bank of Evergreen Park combined on a float along with the record shop on 95th. We are going to have some fun at the parade. We will see you there. The Village of Evergreen Park is looking for qualified candidates to fill a full-time clerk deputy registrar position. This position plays a key role assisting the general public through various village operations. evergreenpark-ill.com for more. The EP Police Department has stepped up patrols all the way through July the 7th. IDOT, the state police, local law enforcement, all getting together to do this. Click it or ticket, make sure you have that seatbelt on. And open gym basketball and volleyball nights are offered at the Maple Well Center for Kids, 3450 West Maple, on select days, a $5 fee. Open to students ages 10 to 17. Basketball is every Tuesday, 1:30 to 3. Volleyball every Thursday, 2 to 3 p.m. No open gym the week of the 4th of July. For more information, visit the Youth Center at 3450 West 97th Street, room 105, or call 708-229-3377. And now we head out to 99th and Western on the edge of Evergreen Park, where a brand new health center doing something that nobody's really done before just opened up. The EP podcast out at 99th and Western. We were here about a year ago as they broke ground on the OSF Complete Care 55 plus clinic, I think is what you would call it, correct, Doc? All right, and I have Dr. Sandy Valino Stock with me, and you run this place, right?
This is a collaboration of multiple people, but I am the managing medical director for Complete Care 55 plus, yes.
All right, and just opened. Like this is, I mean,
I found on day 3.
Yeah, I mean, I found it really interesting when you guys reached out because I remembered being here a year ago and there was construction going on. And to me, it felt like it was moving so quick. I thought you'd already opened. And then I found out that you've just opened up. So what's it been like in the first couple of days?
It's been going very well, Chris. Our first day, people just driving by, intrigued by the sign that said Complete Care 55 plus, and they see 55 and they think, hey, that's me. And so people just walked right in and they say, I need a primary doctor. Either my primary doctor is too far away or retired, or even just have difficulty getting appointments. So we've been able to accommodate patients who have walked in. Usually people schedule in advance, and that way we could do that pre-visit planning with patients, so that when patients come in for their first visit, we optimize the time that patients spend with the providers.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Like their doctor retired. I've gone through my first doctor already, which is funny because when you get a doctor and you've had him for a long time, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm retiring, and it hits you. This was not going to be my doctor forever. Right. He was older than me. Yeah. I'm getting older, so now he's at retirement age. He leaves, and then you have to go find another one. That's probably something you run into with the older people. And then the other thing that you mentioned is people noticing as they're driving by and stopping in. So I look at this, and I know a little bit more about it now because I was here last year and heard the explanation, but a lot of people might not remember or might not have heard about it. I look at this, and the first thing I think is, well, okay, what is that? Is that a place where I go get a regular doctor? Is that like an urgent care? Do you have people that walk in that are confused? Give me the difference between what you're doing here and maybe an urgent care or what people are normally used to.
So as you described, the current model in traditional primary care and getting acute care is patients see their doctors, establish a relationship, and when that doctor's office is closed, there are urgent cares to address the acute needs, such as a sinus infection, urinary tract infection, and then for those that are very sick, then there's the hospital. So with the complete care 55 plus model, we actually try to combine all of that. So we are not just a brick and mortar office. We do provide that primary care where you establish care with a primary doctor, but we take that team approach. So we want our patients to be comfortable seeing not just myself, but our other providers as well, because we want to be there for our patients. And also when our brick and mortar office is closed, we have a whole team 24/7 called OSF On Call, On Demand, that patients can message us once they're established in our practice, and they can reach out for those acute needs. And then if need be, say there was a chronic condition that got exacerbated, that overnight acute issue will then be reported to our team the next day so that we can see someone in the office, get someone in the office in a timely manner. So on average, it takes about 20 days to get an appointment with your primary care provider these days. That's very unfortunate, but it's a statistic for the United States. We try to eliminate that, and you don't have to wait 20 days. We get patients in when they need to see the doctor, when they're sick. Hopefully, downstream, we will prevent patients from needing to be in the hospital because people are busy and they don't have time to be sick and miss life.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things. You make a great point there. I'm sitting there as you're talking, thinking about my relationship with my doctor. Like, I like him, all right? He's a thorough doctor, nice guy. But when I have something bad that happens, or if I'm all of a sudden feeling sick, or like we were just talking, I just got back from a trip overseas, and like I'm like, oh gosh, I'm all like clogged up. I wonder if I like got something or whatever like that. If something happened all of a sudden where I felt like I have to go see a doctor so I can get an antibiotic, or I have to take care of something that's, like you said, acute, I'm not going to get to see him. Because it feels like he's more than 20 days, this guy. So like this, what you're explaining is this is more of a team effort. You're going to have a physician, right? Like somebody that like is like you're comfortable with. But if you need to get in right away, you're still going to the same place.
Yes. Providers in general in healthcare, we're good providers. The good providers, they can provide what you need in an acute situation. I'm human, and I cannot be here 24/7, but we have that team even behind the scenes that can provide what you need. And the important thing is meeting our patients where they're at. So not having our patients meld to my schedule, but you keep the routines and daily life that are important to you.
I know one of the things that used to make me nervous, not so much anymore now, but like if my doctor wasn't available, they'd be like, well, we have a nurse practitioner. We have somebody else who'll take a look at you. And I'd be like, well, okay, well, does that person really know? Like, is that person able to figure it out? Like, I would imagine you're staffed with people from all different fields.
Yes.
And because you have a team in here, somebody walks in, you're able to match up with who's available and who can actually diagnose and treat the problem.
Yes, our providers have solid backgrounds. They're qualified, and we have standards of care. OSF has very high standards, clinical standards, even how you would treat common conditions. Like I said, in healthcare, providers as a whole, they're good providers. And so our patients, they trust us. They trust that we will care for whatever they need.
How do I utilize that? Well, I can't. I'm not 55 plus. But how does somebody who's 55 plus utilize this? Because you said you have people coming off the streets, but I mean, insurance is a tricky thing. Not everybody's sure whether or not it's going to work for them if they come in here. How do they get themselves started if they say, this is the type of care I want to go with going forward?
Yeah, so the quickest way is to ask questions and even get more information. So even if you have that curiosity of, is Complete Care 55 plus right for me? Well, here's one answer. If you are 55 and beyond, and you have at least 2 medical conditions, then you are eligible for our Complete Care 55
2 medical
plus.
conditions. What are we talking here? Like, what if I walk
diabetes,
in and say,
hypertension,
I was gonna be like, I got a hangnail and I got a sore shoulder. Can
chronic conditions.
Chronic conditions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So you could reach us at 312-705-9750 or our website at osfhealthcare.org/CC55.
Is this a first of its kind that OSF is doing, or have they? And do they have plans to do more of these?
Yes, God willing, we are going to expand. We already have plans to expand at another location and beyond and beyond. So we're very confident that this model is going to be what's needed in healthcare, and our community has already responded and says, yes, we need this. Patients are excited. They walk in and they say, I have been waiting for something like this for so long.
Well, I like that idea. I mean, look, you're a doctor. You got into this because you wanted to help people.
Yes.
You got into this because you wanted to treat people. And you're right. A lot of the models up until this point are kind of broken, and it doesn't work very well for people. So I would imagine this is exciting for you, because this is something new. It's probably exciting for all the other people that are working here who got a spot in here where this is where they're going to practice medicine now, because it's something different.
Yes. You know, it's not just the physicians and other providers that love medicine, that want to serve. Our whole team, even those in the background, from the administrative operations, the remote patient monitoring teams, nursing teams, all these people are just thrilled to be able to serve the community and be part of healthcare. It's amazing that we all bring our own gifts to the table, and this is the result of our compassion and our desire to serve the community.
Very awesome. Look, it's a great location. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of walk in here at 99th and Western, on the edge of Evergreen Park. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of walk in. 2, you're gonna get a lot of buzz, I think, because people are gonna see this and they're gonna say, wait a minute, this is a better way to do things, which I think is awesome. And 3, I've walked around it. This is a very, very nice.
It's beautiful.
Right? I mean,
it's beautiful.
It's
yes.
really nice.
Yes, patients find them.
A lot of parking?
Lots of parking. When patients walk in, they find themselves, it's a beautiful lobby. If you're thirsty, we actually have water, and we have a coffee machine
I know I
to help you.
Hook me up.
Yes. 10 minutes ago, I think you were not as perky.
No, I wasn't.
Right?
I got a little bit of coffee. I'm ready to go now.
Now you're ready to go. Yes.
Thank you, Doc. That's awesome.
Because we don't rush the patient visits, we want patients to have something to drink and make themselves comfortable, so that and then again, we optimize the time that patients spend with their providers. And so, have a seat, drink a coffee, and we'll accomplish what you came in for.
That's awesome. I'm kind of jealous that I'm not 55 yet. I am. Like, it's like, I'm like, oh, I don't have 2 chronic conditions and I'm not
Next time I
55.
see you walk in the office, I'll know that it's for a patient visit, right? and you are 55.
I will be older. It'll be a little while, but I will be older for sure when I get back here. Okay, well, thank you so much, Doc,
You're
for showing us
welcome.
around, and congrats to OSF for this,
Thank you.
and also to the area. I think this
Yeah.
is a really cool thing to have here, and I think it's going to work out really well.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having us.
It's the EP Podcast. All things Evergreen Park. It's the EP Podcast. Evergreen Park.